This episode of the Ballcard Show is brought to you by our friends at Pristine Auction, where items are guaranteed authentic for the entire time you own it. Not just at the win, not just while the cert holds. If you own it, Pristine stands behind it. For a limited time, take advantage of $20 off your first auction when you register with the code Ballcard. Win the real thing, Pristine Auction. Hello and welcome to the Ballcard Show, the sports podcast.
For the Sports Collector,
I'm Jason Otero.
I'm Gary LeMaster.
And this is Season 6, Episode 24. How you doing, bud?
I'm good, man. It's been a wild week. It was a hectic weekend. Even though we didn't have a show this past weekend, we both went different directions because we have so much sourcing to do. And my day on Saturday was leaving the house at about 5:45 to head to a show about 2 hours away. And then I cut across another 2 hours to a different state to another show, got home around 6 o'clock that night, took a little nap, and then worked for about 4 or 5 more hours. So,
well, thanks for the itinerary for Saturday.
You're welcome.
Question I have is, what do you have to say to the people that have never seen the top of your head before?
I mean, it's glorious. There it is.
Gary does have a full head of lettuce. It is not thinning like mine. I'm a little jealous of that. So he decided to flex on me. But, you know, every couple months, Gary gets a haircut, right? And when he does, you got to show
this is
off.
relatively fresh.
That's tight down the side.
Oh, yeah.
Give me the what's that called? What's the negative refractor on the side? I'd like a negative
Sub-zero?
refractor. Yeah, Sub-zero clips, please. Is that a zero? Sub-zero. But nice and tight there. Get a fresh breeze. You'll feel good with it. Big week for me. I have a new third row SUV. Very exciting times. When you're in your 40s, I'm not trying to flex.
Just a little.
But I bought a Honda. So I guess you could say things are moving up in the world. I can't wait for all the negative criticism. You hear that?
These guys sign a network deal. Now they got money to buy Honda.
You can afford reliable vehicles. Anyway, so no show last week. We were all over. I was in Mansfield, like Northern Ohio, closer to Cleveland. Gary was down at Wheelersburg. Then he cut over a very lengthy drive over to Florence, Kentucky.
Yep.
And we did a lot of sourcing through that. Here in a little bit, we're going to be doing an old school segment called the Value Box. So if you're new to the space, new to the Ballcard Show, the Value Box is an opportunity for us to dive deep into a topic, and then we just give away whatever information, wisdom, knowledge, experience we've had in it. And this episode is going to be all about buying. So it was a good reminder for us. Usually we're set up every weekend. We had a weekend where we were out buying, and it was like, hey, what did you see? What did I see? So we're going to dive into that here in a little bit. Some things coming up. So if you didn't hear, very exciting news for us on a couple of fronts. We did sign an agreement with Sports Cards Nonsense Media Network to be partnering with them. So you'll see a lot of stuff with that. Some fresh new stuff coming as well with a new segment. That'll be rolling out probably within the next month. You'll hear more about that. We also worked an agreement to be part of eBay Live as well. So we are going to be joining in on that over the next few weeks. Early July, you'll begin to see some of those dates. So Whatnot isn't disappearing, but eBay is going to be a bigger part of our business as well. And we'll probably keep Whatnot around for more of like monthly lot, some different type of stuff there. But be sure to check that out as well. Am I missing anything on news, Gary?
No, I don't think anything crazy I'm missing on news. We've got some big shows coming up in the next couple weeks. If you're listening to this on Friday or watching on Friday and you're in the Tennessee area and you plan to come to Nashville for the big national show, come find us, come say, hey, we'd love to meet you and talk to you. And when you come by, especially if it's the first time you've bought anything from us, make sure you ask us how you can save a little cash.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Speaking of shilling, no, I'm just kidding. we do have some deals for you there. So come by and see us at that show. Next week, Columbus Card Fest at the convention center. So has there been just one other show at the convention center, and it was like 2 years ago, I think.
Yeah, it was a couple years ago. It was an interesting experience, but I will tell you this: the team at B Sports and Card Collector 2 that are putting this show on have been working their tails off.
Yeah.
I know exactly how much effort and time they have put into planning this thing, making sure people know about it. I think it's going to be an absolute banger.
Yeah. We're bachelors that week, so we are, we might be out on the town. It's hard to say. It's highly unlikely. But if you're somebody that's been following us for a while and you catch us at Columbus Card Fest, stay tuned. There may be after parties. There may be, maybe not, maybe not. Maybe a press grill hot dog. Like, we're not far from press grill. We could walk down there, and if you need to know some good local dive spots in the area, hit us up.
Yeah,
Gary
we
and
can
I
help you.
have quite the Rolodex, quite the experience. So we got that. So then, with all this news going on, the thing that has nothing to do with those other things happening has finally come to fruition at the maybe most inconvenient, but you just got to go time. So last week we talked about merging all of our inventory under one umbrella. So Gary and I have been knee deep, neck deep in figuring out our systems for sourcing, pricing, inventory, stickering, margins, spreadsheets, all the kinds of things involving numbers that I hate to do. That's where it's good to have a business partner.
And it's not that I enjoy them, but once I like dive into something, I get pretty laser focused. So
Yeah. Yeah. But it's been really fun separating that out. And one thing that we're really working on a lot, you hear it mentioned, this is like becoming the buzzwords, like channels, right? What channel are you selling through?
yeah.
But as we're bringing all this stuff we have together, we have to start sorting it out and buying it that way and tracking it that way. So we're excited. As you're listening to this, if you're one of the ones that jumps on Friday, we'll be set up at Nashville. So it's first show, everything joined together. Hopefully, we're drowning in money. I hope that we're drowning in cash. We'll see what happens. Okay, Gary, let's get into some meat and potatoes here. Let's bring back
Yep.
the value box. You excited? I'm excited
Absolutely.
for this. This is one of our
It's
favorite things.
yes. Yes.
All right, stole the words right out of his mouth. Here we go. So we're going to spend the next several minutes just talking about our buying philosophies, buying principles, things that work for us, and things that we notice that are shifting. So this Saturday, we did not have a show. This Sunday, we did not have a show on purpose because we've just merged inventory and we have a lot of buying to do. So we
A
tried to hit,
lot.
yeah. So I went Northern Ohio, Mansfield. Gary went to Wheelersburg, like the southernmost point of the state. Then he cut over to to Florence, Kentucky. So we did a lot of work. I mean, there's probably 600 miles covered, 10 hours of work.
Yeah.
But we were able to buy a lot of cards and we were able to buy them at margin. What's interesting is noticing some of the changes in the last couple of years because we're always on the dealer side of the table.
Right.
Even when we have nothing scheduled, typically we will try to find a smaller local show if there's a weekend between where we can set up. A lot of those are bread and butter. They have consistent buyers, consistent collectors, a lot of inventory walks in, and we just focus on buying while we have some showcases out. This time, raw dogging. We were just out there, pedestrians, peasants like the rest of you, walking the floor and trying to find a deal here or there,
All
right?
right, Lord Farquaad.
That's right. That's right. But I want to jump into just some different things that we noticed, things that might be shifting. The first one, which is so obvious, and we've kind of been talking about this, but the first one I noticed is every good deal that I made lasted more than 5 minutes. There weren't any drive by, scoop up a lot of cards, throw out a number, boom, deal. It took some time. Why do you think that is? Are you noticing this as well, Gary?
Yeah, I think that a couple of things are true here. One, at from the dealer side of things, when we feel like a buyer is invested in having a conversation and actually wants to talk about what we're doing, instead of just, will you take this percentage and next, we're more engaged. And so when that's true for us, chances are it's true for most people on
Mhm.
the dealer side of the table.
Yeah.
And when you have those conversations, I'm assuming that your conversations were a lot like mine. We're talking about cards, but we're not just, hey, here's my phone. look
Right.
at what these sold for.
Right.
Can you be better? 80%? Like,
Yeah.
have a conversation,
Yeah.
and you're better at that than I am, not because I go straight to comps, but because I'm not as naturally social in those
Sure.
environments as you
Yeah.
are.
Yeah. And I think there's a this is more important than it was a couple years ago. And I think this is an easy thing to like blame, right? Repacks changed the singles game probably forever.
Yes.
It provided a level of liquidity, whether you believe that's actual liquidity or it's a false liquidity. I can tell you it's a liquidity that's been paying my bills at shows
Yes. I was
for
like,
and putting a dent in it, right?
yes.
Now we are known for carrying a lot of end user cards. Some people call those bricks, but we also have a couple of showcases where it's turn and burn stuff that we can move through. When repacks came onto the scene, though, all of a sudden dealers that were having to fight to 80 or 85% or just tell people no were getting offers at 90 to 95% on cards. And that was new. And so you'd have a deal set up right at the beginning of the show. You know, such and such repackers walking in and they're going to make you right. And you'll probably do 50 to 75% of your business before the show's even been rolling for 30 minutes, right?
Yep.
But that began to shift as everyone began to do repacks. And now you have these downlines of people that'll, the one that has the direct access that's going to get over 100% on certain stuff. Then you had the guy working for them that they would pay 87% to. Then you had like the Oliver Twist kids running around getting like 82% to go up the chain to everybody else, right? Like,
It looks a lot like this.
well, yeah, I'm not saying that, but it began to work like multi-level management,
Yeah.
MLM. But as that began to happen, now you have people that had been sourcing at a certain percentage that are offering lower. And the dealers are feeling like if I'm constantly living at this lower percentage and I'm doing all the work and I'm paying $1,500 to get good tables in a hotel and to set up as a vendor, I can't just hand over all that margin. So what happened was these people that have been sourcing where it had been kind of quick and set up in the beginning of the show are like, what happened to all these deals? All the dealers changed on me. And the
So hard to
dealers were
buy now.
saying, yeah, and the dealers were saying, hey, I used to get all these great deals. Where is he? He didn't show up at this show. Oh, he went to a bigger show because the repacker is demanding more volume.
Yeah.
And where they used to say, hey, just anything that now it's like this price band and this card and this value and this grade and this grader, everything has changed. So it became so transactional that dealers kind of dug their heels in and said, why would I 5 minutes into the show move it downtown to you at 85% when there's probably somebody looking for that card later today?
Right.
And it created a lot of tension. I think taking your time and not being in a hurry, 5 minutes later into this first point, I think taking your time, not being in a hurry, and genuinely engaging, having a
Yes.
conversation about cards,
Yeah.
pointing out the ones you like, telling them why you like them, I think that's going to serve you far better than this mindset that a lot of people have of, okay, there's 100 tables in the room. I've got only so much time. If I hit all the tables and I could spend 2 minutes and blah, 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 and percentage, comp, 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 I think you will yield a worse result that way, even with all the correct data right in front of you.
Well, and you might get more volume that way, but you're not going to have as good of a result. Like,
Yeah.
and at the end of the day, the raw numbers are what matter. If I
Hmm.
sell 100 cards and make $1,000, or I sell 60 cards and make $1,000, the $1,000 is the end result. That's the
Right.
same number. Like,
Right.
and you're going to have a much more rewarding experience in the
Hmm.
space, whether this is what you do for a living or whether it's just a hobby. Uh, if you are taking your time, getting to know the people that you're doing
Yeah.
business with, showing a, I'm not saying go be fake. I'm not saying like, hey, how's your kids? Like, we're there
Yeah.
for cards,
Yeah.
right? We're there for
Right.
cards, but try to create a genuine conversation around this shared love of these little pieces of cardboard that we all love.
Yeah. And reminder, there are a bunch of grumpy dealers out there.
Sure, there are.
And there's a bunch of grumpy bankers out there, and there's a bunch of grumpy car salesmen out there, and there's a bunch of grumpy executives out there. In every lane, you're going to have people that are not great at customer facing experiences, but you're
Right.
also going to have some that really are. So when you're friendly, genuinely there, and somebody's just telling you to kick rocks if you're not going to pay them way over sticker, right? Like, okay, not where I'm going to spend my time, but not where I need to get in a tug of war either.
Right.
And that's why we emphasize relationships. I've mentioned it before, but there's a young man, I'm going to guess he's probably 16 to 18, that is one of those repackers that I think doesn't quite get a super high yield. He has been so respectful to me over and over and over. And Gary's seen me do this, which I don't know if he's going to fight me on it next time I see him, but I always try to find a card for that kid
Yeah.
that he can make a few bucks on. I don't have to do that, but I genuinely respect him and I love the way that he carries himself with the dealers. He's honest about what he's doing. He'll tell me how much he's going to make on a card, you know, and he's not been in a hurry. He had a lot
Yeah.
of peers a year ago. They're not at shows anymore. He
Right.
still is. I think the
Yep.
secret sauce is the way he's interacted with people. I
Oh,
really do.
of course it is. And here's a hint. As dealers, we're there to sell cards. That's the entire purpose of us going to a
Mhm.
show.
Right.
Um, we want to sell cards. And
Yeah.
to be honest, unless you've just really ticked me off, I'd love to give you the best deal that I can give you. Like I want a deal that's a win for both of us, if at all possible.
Right.
Um, you're much more likely to get that result from me if you spend a little bit of time,
Yeah.
have a conversation, be
Yeah.
respectful, all that fun stuff.
And it doesn't mean you have to all of a sudden be an outgoing person, but it
No,
doesn't start with what's your best. It doesn't
yes,
start with, did you see this comp today?
yeah,
As you were driving in at 4 a.m. this morning from 4 hours away, did you take a look at this $30 card?
yeah,
Right? Probably not.
yeah. Nope,
Probably not.
didn't.
Definitely not. There's a point where that matters, but there's a little more art to the sale than a lot of people realize. And when you are buying, you listen to me. When you are buying, you are selling. Understand this.
Oh
When
yeah,
you are buying cards, you are selling. You're selling the experience, you're selling the knowledge that you have, you're selling where you would like to be, you're selling is this person seem responsible, trustworthy? Are they just trying to shove me around? So understand it really matters even when you're buying.
yeah.
Um, let's talk about the next one is be aware of market cycles. Gary, you dive in because I'm talking too much, but
I think when we talk about market cycles, it really is a discussion about where we're at. We sell and buy and sell and buy sports cards. So there's a few different cycles that come into that. One is just the sports seasons.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter. There are rare exceptions. Like last winter, Otani was an exception, but it's the exception that proves the rule. When a season ends, the cards that correlate with that season always see a dip until it's time for the excitement to start build for the season to come back. So we just finished the NBA season. Congratulations, New York. That series did not go the way that I thought that it would, but congratulations to New York. That team went out and won.
And,
But
and they
now,
earned it. They
yes, they
they
did.
dug in and earned that
They
shit. That was
did.
pretty fun to watch.
But you now that that season's over, you're going to have a window about this big where Jalen Brunson stuff goes up a smidge. And then immediately after that 7 to 10 day window, NBA prices are going to do this and continue to do this until we get to late August, early September when they'll
Mhm.
start to move up again. Football, same thing. Baseball season, the same thing. It's also important to remember that there are cycles that get micro within that when players see big spikes
Yeah.
and big movement. So we just saw a person that participated in the finals, Victor Wembanyama's stuff, when they got through the playoffs, as they were going through, when they beat Oklahoma City, the stuff just boom. And then as they got into the finals, it kind of steady, and then they won a game and a boom. If you're at a show just as the season ended and you see Victor Wembanyama stuff priced right at the comp that it's at right now, and all you're thinking of is, man, every week they're just going up. It's probably okay for me to buy this
Mhm.
right at the comp.
Yeah.
This isn't the time to do that.
Yeah, and I guarantee you we're gonna draw a response from people that are currently holding the bag on Victor
Oh
right
yeah.
now. Like, "Oh, well, Shohei went up all season." Shohei has done it. Shohei has
Yes.
already done it. It is done. He is cemented as an
Yes.
all-time great, and he still has plenty of years left. Wembanyama shows the capacity to be an all-time great.
Yes.
He also shows the capacity to be hurt
Well,
and to
and
deal
he
with some
shows the
health issues that
capacity to be
could impact him,
a
you know?
22-year-old kid in a biggest spotlight for the first time, and it didn't go super well. Now, let me clarify that specific thing. We're not telling you that Victor Wembanyama is a bust and you should get rid of his
No,
cards and
no,
he's a
no,
terrible
no.
long-term investment. We're
Mhm.
not telling you any of that. As a matter of fact, in about a month, month and a half, when his stuff is settled to where it's going to settle for the summer, we're probably going to start
Yep,
buying some Victor
yep,
Wembanyama.
yep,
But this is a discussion about the cycles of
yes,
when to buy those things
yep,
so that you can maximize your potential growth.
yep.
That's all this is.
Yeah, so along the lines of that, so like when I'm walking the show Saturday, this is maybe more for dealers on the Wimby stuff. You are coming up on game 7. Now, you certainly, or not game 7, but you're coming up on the end of the series, right?
Yeah.
You certainly have the right to believe that I can reach over comp a little bit because of the trajectory. Let me give an example. When the Shohei All Aces from 2023 was just going nuts, right? Just taking off. It literally was a situation where when a certain insert popped, by the next week it was climbing and climbing and climbing. And we were in the off season.
Yes.
Huge factor there. That is an outlier situation where you have an athlete in the offseason and something's trending up. So when I had an all aces in my showcase at $300 and it snap sold, and another one walked up later that day, guess what? I put 350 on it. And guess what? Boom, it sold.
Yeah.
People were not afraid to do that. With Wembenyama, though, there were a lot of people at the show I was walking that had stuff over stickers, over the last 5, and trying to set a new comp on stuff that was not low numbered,
Yeah.
auto,
Wasn't that rare?
patches, trying to just reach. And you can do that. You can do that. But when people are trying to buy with the data that's provided and under, over the last several years of watching, it's going to be a tougher sale for you. There's a lot of people that had to pack up their Wimby stuff and head home. I had a
Well,
card like that, the gold crackle foil.
yep.
I had some
It
solid
got
offers that
repriced this week.
yeah, I kept waiting for it and it kept flirting with going up, 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 and it wouldn't. That card's probably going to drop off a little bit over the next month or two.
Yep.
Doesn't mean the player is not a good buy at some point. It means you pay attention to market cycles. One other
Yeah.
example. And Gary's going to talk about this a little bit more, but part of that is like everybody loves the opportunity to hit the jackpot with Bowman prospects, right? The timing is so important, and the information you need to have and the understanding you need to have about that space and what happens at the different levels and what happens when they go from 1A to 2A and they see some real pitching, right? It is easy to look at a card like, oh, that's a gold. It's a true gold to 50 first. And 2 months ago, it sold for $100 and $100. And I bet I can get this for 75. But you don't know that that guy couldn't hit the curve once he got to 2A,
Yeah.
or their farm system is so loaded at catcher, and he's way down the list. Timing is so important. So be sure with the market cycles that you understand the right time to sell those types of players. Do you understand when when to stay away? And if not, don't mess with it. I
Yeah.
really don't mess much with Bowman stuff anymore. If it's
Yeah.
an established, really good player, then sure, I'd love their first auto, right? But that's not a game I play. Gary plays that game, but he also spends tons of hours on baseball reference, on MLB pipeline, scouting this stuff out, following what's happening when they're at 1A boring 1A baseball stuff. He's
Yeah.
watching it. He's watching at bats. If you don't have the interest or the ability to invest the time in that, be careful with the market cycle.
Yeah, and I think to simplify it to its lowest common
Please
denominator,
do, because that was a word salad there.
if you are a buyer, don't chase. Don't chase. Understand that just because there's an exception That doesn't mean that
Yeah.
you apply that exception to everyone.
Yep.
And if you're a seller, the exact same thing.
Yep. I agree. I should have just let you say that. That was better. The other one that I wanted to point out, this I broke one of my own rules. I
Okay.
have for years said that if I go to a show and you set up and you have no prices, why should I have to price out all of your inventory so that you can leverage the highest possible value that's ever been seen on it, which is what usually happens. I can't
Sure.
tell you how much time I've wasted over the years. You get to a table, there's no prices, and they're like, oh, don't worry about it. I'll work with you. They have, what does that mean? Work with you. I think what that means is if I work with you, I'm going to give you a number and you're just going to hand it over. And it
Yeah.
must work sometimes for them because they keep doing it, or they just like getting out of the house. Maybe
Yes.
that's why. But it's not always the case that somebody is just trying to leverage you or being lazy. Sometimes people know their stuff really well and they just don't do that many shows. They do one show every 3 months. So they're like, hey, I kind of know where this stuff is. I checked it. It's not all stickered. I got a great lot of 90s really cool inserts, Griffey stuff. There was some cool like 2010 to what 2013 black and gold,
Oh,
like the
yeah.
shadow box
Yep.
cards. What's that called? Thunderclap, like some
Mhm.
really great stuff. No stickers, right? So I'm like, I'm gonna spend all this time in these stacks and boxes with the risk that it doesn't work out, but sometimes it does make sense. There was a tool that you can use if you're not sure is I have found that when boxes are super organized and nothing is priced, meaning like everything's penny sleeve, top loaded, fresh in a box, like somebody has a full setup there. Those are the ones I usually can't work out any kind of a deal with because they want to comp it after I pull that. So if I grab 30 cards, I'm waiting 40 minutes for a number on
Well,
stuff.
yeah, and the easy solution to that is find one card you
Yep.
like. Hey, what do you? There's no prices in here. What do you need for this one? For me, the rule is if the first thing they do when I ask that question is they pull their phone out, I let them tell me, and then I just gently walk away because I know
Yep.
that's going to be the process
Yep.
on every single
Sure.
card.
Now there are some cards. So like for example, this guy was like there was probably 20 or 30 cards in this stack and there was one or two where he's like, "Can I check? Do you mind if I check this?" I'm like, "It's your cards, man.
Yeah, do what you
Absolutely."
want to.
But he's like, "I know the Griffey stuff is really popped and it was a couple of neat, Griffey inserts." I'm totally cool with that. That's absolutely fair. Um, but if you're not sure, grab a card that you're confident with and say, "Hey, what about this one?" And if they put you through a process or throw out a number where you're like, okay, there's never in the universe has this card ever been within 50% of that value, then just say, all right, thanks, man, appreciate it, and move on. But it's okay sometimes if there aren't stickers. Say you're going to spend more time, understand that, but they're there. All right, when you're buying well, I'll let you explain this, Gary. But when you are buying well, don't be afraid to pay up a little. Don't be afraid to break your own rules. It's breaking your rules, but it's really not breaking your rules.
Yeah, I
Walk
think
them
that
through it, Gary.
that's the important part of it. So the way that we do our buying, and almost everybody that we know that does a lot of high volume sales, whether that's online selling, live selling, whether that's at shows, whatever, does some variation of this. We're looking at individual cards, but we're also looking at the big picture. So if I buy, to use Jason's example, a Griffey insert and the guy checks the price and he's like, yeah, it looks like I thought it was about 30, but it looks like they've jumped to about 60. I'm going to need 55 for it if that's okay. If that's the only card I'm buying the entire day, that doesn't work for us, right?
Right.
It just isn't functional. However, if I've bought $1,000 worth of stuff and I'm very confident that I'm in that stuff for $700, sure, I'll give you your 55 bucks for that card because when I put all my price tags together, I'm going to figure out what percentage I bought everything at on
Yeah.
average, and that's going to get applied to each card.
Hmm.
Um, so that enables us at times to do two things, two really important things. One, it enables us to buy some nicer, more liquid stuff that we might not buy if that's all we were buying.
Hmm.
And I think this is the one that people forget about, and especially if it's the first time I've done a deal with that particular dealer,
Yeah.
I'm showing them some confidence in them. I'm saying, hey, I get it, man. Let me pay you what you want. Sometimes
Hmm.
I'm going to give you your full sticker on that. Sometimes it's, hey, it's $60. How about I just give you $60?
Hmm.
Because in my mind, I'm setting the table for a continued relationship.
Right.
Sometimes I'll even say, hey, man, I'll get you this time. I know these 5 or 6 cards we're going to grab next time around. My turn,
Right.
and most 95% of the time people are like, absolutely, no
Yeah.
big deal.
Now, to some of you, when you hear Gary talking about cost average, you're like, "Oh my gosh, this is going to change everything," and it really can, because it helps you chill a little bit. You build a little more confidence in what you're buying. You're able to spread that across, and there's some times where we did so well on the week, and it's like, okay, Shohei is hot. I'm gonna go pay 105% a sticker on these 3 slabs,
Yeah.
because by the time I average that in, I'm at 73% on this week. It went from
Yes.
70 to 73 if you're buying a lot of volume. Huge caveat though. This is the part that nobody talks about.
Correct.
This only works if the other stuff you bought actually sells.
Yes.
If you're taking on lighter stuff, but it's not liquid, maybe it has a $10 comp, but it's going to take you 2 years to sell it. And most of
Doesn't
the
work.
lighter stuff is like that. That's not, yes, that's true, but it's only a realized percentage at the point where
You
you're
sell
able
it.
to move the other stuff. So
Yeah.
for us, it's like, not only do we want the lighter stuff, we're going to run it this week. We're going to get our money out of that. And if we
Yes.
got cooked on some of that, we're going to make a mental note of like, hey, on the stuff from last week, we need to be as close to sticker as we can. Like we
Yep.
can't, and that's why some people come up and I'll give them a deal on 2 or 3, and then they point at one. I was like, not that one, bud.
Yeah.
I can't. But
Yep.
that's real important with your cost average. That's a lesson that when I was buying high volume loan for eBay, that would hurt me sometimes because I would have 5 rows parked
Yeah.
that
That just
hadn't
aren't
even been
selling.
scanned. They hadn't been taken out of top loaders because the collection was so big. And I was like, I'm in it at a penny a piece. Well, there's 100,000 cards there, dude. That's some money, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So cost average works. It works, but you need to make sure that everything you're buying is something you really think you can sell. That doesn't mean that every $10 card is going to do $10. Some will do $8 on eBay. Some will
Yes.
do 5. Some will do 20. Some will pop off. But by doing it that way, it tells you what you're going to pay up for. Now, caveat for us is we don't do it if we can afford to get some bigger cards where we're paying full sticker on because of the cost average scenario. It's going to be goats. It's going to be slaps. It's going to be the most liquid thing we can buy. It's
Uh-huh.
going to be when we do buy downtowns and uptowns and all that stuff that we're not crazy about, but it's so liquid. It's when we are already right on our purchases
Yeah.
for the week so that we can integrate that stuff in.
And if you want to protect yourself even more when you buy those unique end user cards, when you're figuring up your tag on those big ones, instead of it being your tag number that goes into that cost average, put it at what you think your worst case scenario is that
Yeah,
you would
that's an
take it
option too.
for.
Yeah.
And that protects you a little bit as well.
So Gary's gone through all of the buys this week, everything he bought last week, excuse me, everything I bought. And then he's just getting a total tally of where he believes he can sticker this, or if he's not as sure where he thinks I can sticker it here, but it's probably going to land here
Yep.
because we do have some unique stuff. What's one that we bought this week? Oh, I bought
Mike
the
Schmidt.
Mike Schmidt White Whale Auto. There's not a lot of those that have ever sold, and that stuff's really climbing. So we have an intended tag that we could run, which would skew the percentage a little bit, or we can be a little bit conservative saying, I think I can get this, but let's just mark it for 10 or 15% below that, just in
Yeah.
case, right?
Yep.
And then total up the total values and
Still tag it where
yeah,
you want
still
to,
tag it.
but from the
Yeah.
from the perspective of trying to figure out what your buying percentage on the week across
Yeah.
all your buys was,
Mhm.
use the more conservative number.
Yep. Yep.
Yep.
All right. That's how you hit your percentage on all of that stuff. Okay. Where are we at? Here we go. I love this one. Don't race to comps and don't ignore them either. So it's a
Yes.
dance. Gary, walk them through the steps.
This week when I went out, I said to myself, especially because it's been driving me nuts a little bit lately, and we talked about it last week some with some of the experiences we had at the Monster. I am not going to bring the word comps up when I'm buying this week unless the dealer brings that word up first.
Mm.
I'm not even, doesn't mean I'm not going to look stuff up. It just means that I'm not going to immediately look at their tag and then look at my phone and go, Well, it just did this. So can I do this? I said, you know what? I'm just going to make my offer without using that word and see what happens.
Mhm.
And the first buy that I made of the weekend wasn't a big dollar buy, but it was probably 60 or 70 cards
Yeah.
altogether. And the dealer, I handed him the stack of cards and I said, here's what I'm thinking. And he goes, what? I went, what do you mean, what? He goes, well, I mean, did you comp all these? And I went, I looked up a few just to get a feel for whether your stickers were within the realm of reality. um, but once I did that, no, not really. These are the kind of cards that we need. This is what I'd like to pay for them. If that works for you, great. If not, I'm happy to hear a
Mhm.
counter. And he was like, oh man, he said, that's nobody does that. And I went, well, we're trying something different today. Let's see how
Yeah.
it goes. And we made a deal. It was
Yep.
easy. He
Yep.
was tickled pink. He was like, it's so nice to not have a phone
Mhm.
shoved in my face.
Yep. Because I think so let's give perspective that because I think if for people that walk shows, it gets so annoying to hear dealers say this all the time because their first reaction is, well, I know you guys are using the similar software or the same software to look up pricing. So how are you going to tell me I can't look at it, but you're looking? That's not what we're saying. That's not what we're
Nope,
saying.
not at all.
We're saying that this week Gary is spending probably 20 hours, 15 to 20 hours pricing up hundreds of cards and doing the work on researching that. Do some cards get fresh comps? Yes, absolutely that happens. But when it is shoved in our face, hey, there was one that did way lower than the sticker you have, even though there's five other whatever. It almost comes across as a way like, did you even check this? The tone can come across like that. And so again, we use the word tug of war all the time. You unintentionally are creating a struggle that doesn't need to happen. Instead of starting with comp, try this. Hey, I really like that. I really like that Griffey. Uh, is there any chance you're open to offers on it, or are you firm? Step one: finding out if you even can have the conversation and
Yeah.
doing it respectfully. Almost every dealer is going to say either, "No, it's Griffey. Griffey's hot," you know, and you'll be able to tell if somebody putting speculative prices on or are they in line with the market. And then the next thing that they will probably say is, "Oh, I'm open to offers. What are you thinking?" Throw your offer out.
Yeah.
Throw the offer out. Say a number. Don't say, "Well, I was looking at." Nope, nope, nope. Listen to me. You and I are having a conversation. You just asked
Yes.
me if I'm willing to take an offer. You are selling. You were trying to win me. I'm just trying to be helpful here, guys. I'm not. If it's coming across
Yes.
condescending, that's not the goal here. I'm trying to help a lot of people that I think when they say open to offers, the first thing you do is say, "Well, the comp." Just throw your number out there. Just throw
Yes.
your number out there. And if a dealer is offended by it, be like, I'm sorry. Um, do you want me to show you why I did that? Or is it just doesn't make sense? That's okay. Right. Sometimes
Yes.
dealers are like, is there one that I'm way off on? Know which one it is. Right. I had a deal this week. There was a table that had awesome 90s football stuff in it, like Z Team, Emmett Smith, and old school Edge acetate, Barry Sanders, the 500, like really cool stuff, really, really cool stuff. And I had a whole stack of cards, and there were a couple that I wanted more than any that everything that I was looking up when I was going through the stack to check, I was like, man, is it that? And it was like double where it's ever been. And so I just said to him, hey, this stack, I'm all the way there with these. I really want these two cards, but I might have been missing something on it. Um, are you open to working with me on these two? Like, I'm still asking for even permission to introduce this information, right?
That's a
And
key. That's a
yes,
big key.
I'm just
The
trying to say what works, guys. I'm not trying to
yes.
say like,
Sometimes buyers as buyers, and I fall into this category too. Not just in cards, in general. We make a one fatal mistake is we assume that something is owed to us. Those cards are that dealer's cards,
we could
right?
put them
Like,
at 10x the
yeah,
tag ever
they're
sold and keep them.
his.
Yeah.
And if you approach the conversation like Jason just said respectfully, it's going to go a lot better. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
No,
off there,
you're
but that
fine.
was such a good
Yeah.
point. Like, we forget that that's his stuff.
Yeah.
He can do what he wants to with it.
When Gary and I were in like service sales, one of the things that's cool about service companies is you get so many direct repetition in one day. Like we were up 5 or 6 calls a day a lot of times when things were busy. And so you go from 1 hour in someone's home, and then literally an hour and a half later, you're in a different person with a different personality, with a different expectation, with a different budget, with a different, pain
Everything.
point of frustration of something being broken, right? And so you constantly have to adapt all throughout the day to whatever's going on. It's called mirroring and matching. It's a sales principle. But every time my sales numbers would fall off, they would have you talk with the trainer, or I would have Gary listen in on calls. That's something we would do. I would put an AirPod in and just say, "Hey, while you're working on this door, listen to this call and tell me what I'm doing." Almost every time that my sales shifted downward, I was asking fewer questions and making more statements. I'm the expert, you're not. Here's what you need to do. And not, what are you looking for? Are you wanting this like fixed immediately? Do you need just like a quick get the door up and down, I get my car out situation? Is it are you feeling like, hey, I don't want to mess with this ever again? But when you stop asking questions, there's not room for dialogue. There's
Right.
no chance at a deal there. So, long story short, I talked to the guy. Now, he didn't give me those cards at 70%. I paid full comp on those cards. But remember, whole stack over here, cost average in, it all worked out, but that was the way to that point. And now you're saying,
Yeah.
like, well, why would you do that to get to? Because there was another 20 cards. Because there's another
Yeah.
20 cards he did not have a problem giving me margin on, right?
Right.
So I think that's real important. Ask the question, take your time. Don't race to the comps, but don't ignore them either.
So the next thing we need to talk about, as you're out buying and sourcing, and again, this is all targeted mostly to folks who are trying to buy large amounts of stuff. Uh, you got to know what channels you're buying for. Like, everything doesn't go into one bucket. For Jason and I, we have live selling, we have shows, and then we have buy it now eBay auction listings.
Mhm.
And the things that we need, while there is some overlap in that Venn diagram, most of the time it's wildly different. The buyers that we're selling to in those different channels have different expectations for the types of cards.
Mhm.
There's different psychologies that go into the way those things are bought. And so when you are out buying, you got to know what buckets those things are going into. And
Yeah.
that's going to affect the way that you
Yeah.
negotiate those
You
buys.
got to know where it's going to sell and when it could sell. You don't need to know the exact date, but for example, Gary
How
got that
quick?
really cool shack, the SP
Yeah.
where it pulls out.
Yep.
That's a big card. We're going to set a comp on that card. A card's going to be setting a comp, right? The market is up on that stuff. It's actually a lot more rare than most people would guess. That's a card where Gary's like, I have to buy this at a price point where this could take 6 months to sell.
Yeah.
A lot of people, when they start flipping or even buying to look for a deal, especially people trying to flip in a business, it starts with, what's the comp? What can I get it for? What's the comp? What can I get it for? What's the comp? What can I get it for?
Who's going to buy it? That's the
And
first
then
question.
and then
Should
3
be.
months later, you hear them say, "Oh man, I got to do some value boxes. I got all kinds of stuff that was in my showcase that I can't move." Right? I think an evolution of every card business is being able to decide, as you're making a purchase or making an offer, before you've ever handed any money over, I know where this card will sell and I know about how long it should take to sell it.
Right.
That isn't an easy thing. Like, we all have an idea. I think repetition is your friend there, and the failures probably tell you more than the successes on that.
Of
The
course.
cards
Always.
that were parked, I moved out of my high volume, low end eBay. That was the best decision at the time for what I needed to do. But I bet I still have 25, 30,000 cards that I haven't sold yet. It's still parked.
Yeah.
It's still parked. So next Wednesday, y'all ought to hang out or whatnot. Gary and I are doing a big lot show. But
Yep.
knowing what lane something's going to land in, and it shifts. What worked for us the first 3 months we were on whatnot doesn't work on whatnot anymore. The
No.
factors that were important to our buyers have shifted. People move to other live selling platforms. Market cycles impact all of this, right? Again, go try running a bunch of guys that didn't make the playoffs on NBA stuff this week on your live show. Unless you already have a massive base for that, you're about to be annihilated
Yeah,
because of recency bias. But
but if you're running Jordans and Kobe's and Shaq's and Steph Curry's and LeBron's, you'll probably enjoy how that
yeah,
goes.
yeah. So I think it's real important to think through the different channels. And if you're somebody that's like, I don't know how to push my business forward because I feel like I'm just capped out. How many channels do you have? Is a really good question to ask. Is it time to build out another channel? You set up at shows every weekend. It just feels like it's getting tougher and tougher. Or I know there's some people that their showcases were nothing but cards over 500 bucks and they were doing a lot of ultra modern and that stuff has been much harder to move.
Yes.
So it may be time to consider a marketplace. It may be time to consider an auction house like Pristine. It may be time for you to consider consignment on some of this stuff. But think of another channel you can move through. If you've only moved bigger stuff, but you have boxes and boxes and boxes of other stuff, you might be surprised what a value box could do for your business
Sure.
when you throw 500 cards in a box every week now.
Yeah.
If you haven't ever tried live selling, wade into it. You can hire somebody to run your show. There's just so many ways to go about it, but consider another channel and ask yourself what fits in this channel that doesn't fit in this channel and vice versa.
Yep.
So, like for us right now, we have a live selling channel. We have an eBay unique, weird, don't at me, no offers channel, right? Of really cool stuff. And we have showcase inventory. Those are three
Right.
channels we're moving through now. I anticipate by the end of this year, we have a consignment channel of stuff that we are just, hey, we're gonna bulk send this stuff off and let somebody else deal with it. It is worth it, even if it's a smaller margin, because we're buying more volume. We have a lot of this other stuff.
Right.
Um, I think that there's a lot of different directions we'll go with that, but having multiple channels before you make the purchase is a game changer for your
Yes.
business.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Um, oh yeah, this one's great. This one's great. Just a couple more on this, and we kind of touched on it. Know your stuff, especially on the things where you believe you're an expert. So
Yes.
this is why I decided I do not have the time or really the interest to stay on top of the top baseball prospects at all times. Gary loves that. So if I'm thinking of buying something that's got a little bit of value that's in that lane, I'm messaging him. What do you know about this guy?
Yep.
Are you a buy? And Gary will be the first to tell you, do not. There have been more that I wanted that he has stopped me on than those that I didn't want. He said you should buy, right?
Yeah.
But know your lane and know what's not your lane. Soccer coming up to the World Cup the last few months. I determined there were a handful of names that I understood well enough to buy. And
Yep.
I am positive there were hundreds of cards that I could have made a decent chunk of money on that I passed on. Why? Because I don't know, and I'm not going to know in the 6 weeks leading up to the cup.
It's the same reason we don't do Pokemon. I don't know. I don't want to know. The
Yeah,
biggest advantage to having
that was good.
yeah, the biggest advantage
I
that
don't want
you
to know.
I don't want to know. The biggest advantage that you can have, especially, and this is really key, uh, if you are the buyer at shows who really likes digging through boxes,
Yeah,
is knowing what you know, being 100% confident in it, and not ever needing to touch your phone about things that are in that lane.
yeah,
If I find a box, like Jason said, if I find a box that is a lot of Bowman prospects, most of the time, I don't need to look at anything,
hmm
which is really helpful for lots of reasons. If I find a box that has, this used to be way more Jason's lane. Now we both are pretty knowledgeable on it. If I find 90s, 2000s, he used to be really know the basketball stuff. He still does. I've learned the basketball stuff, but we're like the older baseball and football stuff. If I find stuff, I can tell without touching my phone most of the time whether that is a good price, underpriced, or overpriced. I don't have to look at anything. And I can
but
hand it.
but you hand Gary a product that dropped 3 months ago that's
No
had a
clue.
chance to cool and the
Yep.
rookies and it's got 9 different case hits. We are
Yep.
lost in the sauce.
Lost.
Yep. Yep.
Yep. So, and the biggest advantage of that in a value box, as a dealer who doesn't do value boxes anymore, but who used to, you know how often I repriced my value box?
0 times.
That many.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It came back to bite you sometimes. People would find a
Yes.
fantastic deal.
Yep. And I would
And they
tell
came
people
back.
every time, hey, you got a great deal. Now if you don't buy it, I'm going to reprice it now that I've been made aware.
Right.
But if you know what you're looking for,
Yep.
those deals are all over the place to be found.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to spend the time to become an expert in something. I'm not saying you got to become an expert in everything, but if you find a lane that you can really learn and that you enjoy, you can absolutely slaughter.
The big key here is when the opportunity is there for something you know nothing about, um, don't be afraid to pass, even if you think it's there, unless you have the time, the risk tolerance, and the understanding that this could go terribly wrong.
Yeah.
Um, it's okay to say, "Ah, that's really not something I know very much about." Right.
Yeah.
And if
Absolutely.
the dealer gets even more pushy at that point, that might be a red flag. Why
Yeah.
are you in that much of a hurry to give me that much of a deal? Right.
Yeah. Yep.
Did you also find out the reason you don't know much about it is because no one does? Literally no one. No one is buying it, right? That
Yep.
happens. All right, here's the last point of this as we kind of wrap this up.
Yep.
Um, I believe this, and there are some of you that don't, because I know there are businesses that exist that make money where they probably don't feel this way. But I have found if I'm walking a show and I'm buying, I'm trying to spend money, enjoying cards is essential to making deals. It
Yeah.
is essential. I am a heart on my sleeve guy. You guys all know this. Gary never has to wonder if I'm doing okay because my emotions will precede me, right? Um, but enjoying cards and appreciating it and collecting, I think is vital to all of this. If I didn't collect, I'm not sure I'd be in the space at all. I know there are some lanes, there are some corporations, there are some huge businesses in this space, but faking and pretending you like cards will not work in those
No.
negotiations. I
Well, because
promise.
the dealer, I'm telling you this much, whether a dealer's grumpy or not, okay? If they are taking the time and spending the money to do all the things that are necessary to
Mhm.
be set up at a show on some level, whether they're the most negative person you know,
Right.
on some level, they love this stuff
Right. Yeah.
because you don't do all this without that.
Yeah.
And if they can't feel that you love it too, you're already making life harder for
Yeah.
yourself.
All right, I'm gonna run through these like a list real quick,
Yep.
just in case you're writing anything down or wanted to kind of get the little cliff notes here. Every good deal lasted more than 5 minutes, so take your time. Relationships over everything. Be aware of market cycles. Things change. Sometimes it's okay if there aren't stickers. Sometimes it's a waste of time. Find a card that you're familiar with. Ask the dealer. That should give you an answer if you can play ball there or not. When you're buying well, don't be afraid to pay up. If you got great margin on your first 5 deals, it may be okay to throw in a couple cards that sticker that are super liquid.
Yeah.
If it's not going to move that margin too much for you. Don't race to the comps. Don't ignore them. Don't be afraid to ask if it's okay to say why. Ask for permission for that stuff. Know what channels you're buying for before you buy them. Where am I going to sell this? How long will it take? Know your stuff, especially the stuff you claim to be an expert on. Stay on top of it. Watch the market trends. Look at the players that are popping off. And if you don't know it, stay away from it. Um, boom, boom, boom. And then enjoying cards is essential to this. You can't fake it. So be
Right.
genuine in that conversation. All right, Gary, that was a lot of school
That was a
classes in
deep value
session there. Yeah,
box. We
yeah,
were
that
we were
was
like,
good.
where's this going to go? How long is this going to take?
All
Well,
right,
looks like about 40 minutes.
I don't want to wrap up yet, but I do want to head to Delaware, Ohio. Keith, Newhart Cards, Shop Talk. It's time.
Hi, this is Keith at Newhart Cards, and this is Shop Talk. A lot of these short conversations that we have are about, behind the scenes looks at what we do, what our changing business models and such. And one that I've noticed here recently, a trend that's actually, over the last few months is really picking up steam, are Mondays. The last few years, a lot of shops close on Mondays, even Sundays, because they need to recover from the weekend or the week and such. Mondays typically now are probably our busiest day of the week, and we're still trying to figure out why is that. Is it people are buying on the weekends, coming in, selling us deals? Do they spend too much money on family vacation past weekend and they need to buy, they need to sell us stuff? Or is it just that they, didn't have cards for the weekend, so they want to come in on Mondays? So we always pride ourselves. The sign on the front door says always buying. We pride ourselves in paying cash for every single deal. Yesterday we bought so much that we had to finally start using some electronic payments. So PayPal and Venmo and Cash App, blew the dust off of it and really started using that yesterday, just because of the volume that we had yesterday. And again, a little secret, we spent so much more on Pokemon than we did sports cards yesterday. So if you ever have any questions, anything, reach out to us, reach out to the boys, always available. And if you have any questions, again, reach out to us. This has been Keith at Shop Talk.
Thanks, Keith, and thank all of you for tuning in with us. Quick reminder, if you haven't yet taken advantage with Pristine Auction, $20 off your first win with
Link
the code.
in the description.
Links in the description with the code Ballcard. You win an auction, you get it in there. I had a buddy that actually got, was it one of your friends that bought, it's not just cards in there either, right?
No, he bought silver.
Yeah, he bought silver.
He was trying to buy cards. The cards kept going for more than what he wanted to pay for them. So he was like, I'll just buy silver.
Yep. So get in there, get that code running. There's $20. I don't know how long that code's active, but I'd take advantage of it if I were you. Other things, be sure to join our Discord. A lot of info on there, some exclusive content over the last couple of weeks. Gary's got a project he's working on where you'd have a snippet to read some stuff. We need to probably talk about that next week. I'm going to put you out there on a limb, but be sure to check out the Discord. We're going to be on eBay Live soon. We got Whatnot going on. All kinds of things are happening. Thank you for being a part of it. Thank you for making it to the end of this episode. This has been the Ballcard Show, the sports podcast.
For the sports collector.
Bye now.
Peace.